Wales got almost none of their game on the pitch at Twickenham, particularly in the first half last weekend, in the opening weekend of this year's Six Nations. Fortunately, they've only got France coming to Cardiff this week, so, that should be easier. Okay, yeah, that game, me and Taff did a full-on report, dug into lots of details around that, focused on the Welsh quite a lot at the start as well, and then gave England all the plaudits for some of the play they did. I'll link that one up there. Go and check that one out if you haven't seen it already. But today, I am going to be looking at what I think the Welsh team will be to face France this coming Sunday match, this one. And there's lots of options. There are lots of options. Squad updates first. I can't see any. I haven't noticed any injuries or things like that with the players. However, Duncan Jones, the scrum coach, got injured in a freak accident in training last week, and it means that he's had to have operation on at least one knee. I think it might be both. So in comes Paul James, the former Welsh loosehead, played at Bath for a bit as well. He's in as scrum coach for Wales to do that job. I'm guessing for the short term until as soon as Duncan Jones is fit and available, he'll be back, I'm sure. Yeah, as I said, that previous game, Wales shot themselves in the foot a heck of a lot in that opening 20 minutes in particular. They just gave away cheap penalties. They made errors that led to tries. It was all over the place for Wales. The line-out was a real struggle. And, when you're making that many errors, a lot of which were unforced, of course, England did force some of those errors and some of those penalties, but a lot of them were unforced. It's very difficult to judge this Welsh team. So with that in mind, do you then think, right, well, they've just had a really bad day at the office, but I still think they're the best players. We have to back them and give them another shot. Or a slightly different sort of mindset might be that with the best will in the world, France are very much the likely winners this Sunday. They are huge favourites to win this game. The chance of Wales pulling off a victory, whilst not zero, is very slim. So then do you maybe think, is it best to actually remove some players from the firing line, as it could be a massive dent in confidence if this gets away from Wales, and France have got the ability, obviously, to do that? Would it be better to take out some of the frontline players from that firing line? I'm not sure. And just judging by Steve Tandy and the way he speaks, I feel like he's going to remain confident, remain positive, I should say, more importantly. And I think he's going to try to get this Welsh team to reset, go and get that performance, their performance, what they're capable of, back out on the pitch again. Because they've had it in phases, obviously not to huge effect, but like the first 50 minutes against the All Blacks in the autumn, they played superbly well, really, really well. And so it's in them. They have it in them. They just need to find it. So I feel like Tandy will be faithful to his selections. I feel like he'll pick many of the same, maybe a few tweaks, which I'm going to go into, and he'll send them out there to go and try and put their game on the park against the French, rather than just trying to dull the French and trying to minimise the potential loss margin. That's what I think. Okay, so we'll get the forwards that I think should be selected up now. And so the reason why I've gone with some of these, generally what I'm thinking you need to lock down the set piece, but at the same time, you need to actually be able to take the game to the French as well. So you need some carrying threats in there. I think overall, we're looking for size where appropriate. We want to be as big as we can against the French, because they are obviously huge. So that's what I've gone through. I've swapped both the props. Francis in as the best scrummaging tight head. And then I've swapped Carey as well, because you want to have some balance, right? If Carey's on, he's a very good scrummager. He's not quite as destructive as Nicky Smith, but he's very good. And then he gives you that carry that will get you in the game. It'll give you a potential to dent that French defence. So I think it's important to have that balance across those two props. Lake, Beard and Jenkins to continue from last week. And then I've gone size in the back row and more carrying power as well. Again, I think you don't want to sit back. You want to try and take the game to the French wherever you can. And France do play quite long periods of the game without the ball quite often. You know, when they score, they tend to score very quickly. Few number of phases. So Wales need to be able to play against the French. So I've gone with this back row of Wainwright, Cracknell to come in from outside the 23, and Alex Mann, who I'm impressed with every week. He just gets so involved. He's so like niggly and just winds people up. And I think there's a huge amount of value in that. Yeah, that's what we're going with the forwards. And the backs is, you know what, I actually picked this team yesterday, so I can't remember what I selected. So let's get it up on the screen now. Williams and Edwards to carry on. Yeah, I went with exactly the same, because I think that Wales can't possibly shoot themselves in the foot as much as they did against England. They can't possibly just throw away possession with dumb penalties at the line out and things like that. They actually did get that some of their game plan was working. They did box kick and challenge, won those breakdown, the scraps rather, or rather forced Freddie Stewart into an error, which Alex Mitchell compounded by being offside. That's the game plan. That's how they get the entries. They got that entry, but then gave that dumb penalty away at the line out, and they really struggled after that, compounding errors and defensive penalties over the top. So we never really got to see this backline play at all. Not really. And I think Reece Summit showed glimpses of great running skill from the back, but very little else happened. So I feel like if he thought they were the best players last week, then he probably should still think that the same this week. And if we think about the threat compared to from England to France, both teams kick a lot, you know. France tended previous years to kick long, very deep, and then just sort of chase it up. But they're kicking competables now as well. So the difference between these two sides in sort of like the main facets of play are not too dissimilar now. France, obviously, when they get into open field, they are lighted and so instinctive that that's a major difference. But when we're talking about the core building blocks, they're not all that different, I don't think. So that's what I'm going with. Same backline as last week. Good balance across the wings there in terms of absolute pace. And then Adams, who's a bit of a workhorse and a real kick chaser. Yeah, just go with that. And then on the bench, I brought Ryan Elias in. I think, again, looking at size, when Liam Belcher came on at the weekend, he just didn't look very big. And, you know, sometimes size isn't the only thing, but I think against the French, it really counts. So I think you want to have as much bulk in there as you can. Nicky Smith and Archie Griffin to come on off the bench in the prop department. And again, you'd hope Nicky Smith will come on absolutely furious and try and take the French scrum apart, because I think he's got an opportunity there to get in there and do some good work and potentially destabilise it a little, if nothing else. Carter and Plumtree and McLeod complete the forwards that I think selected, and then Hardy and Grady. Again, Grady, a good point of difference off the bench. Heavy carrier, all that kind of stuff. Physical, I think he's a good player to bring on late in the game to add just a different dimension. Okay, that is what I think. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, tell me why. Tell me why you think what you think. It's always very interesting to discover people's thinking and how they see the game, because the thing is about our beautiful game is there's so many different ways to play it, so many different ways to skin a cat, so many different things you can emphasize from week to week or within the side. So I've sort of explained what my emphases are and the reasons. I'd love to hear yours as well. Let me know, as I said, in the comments down below. And do you think this Wales team has got any chance against France on Sunday? And if you think they do, tell me what areas you think they can damage France as well. Also down there in the comments section, there's a lovely link to the Six Nations store. Give that a little click and go and buy some stash and use the 20% off code. It's all good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you don't mind while you're down there, and you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. Don't forget to get out and play.